everyone, and welcome to another manga recommendations video. This is for the short shounen series Genkaku Picasso, written by Usamaru Furuya of Lychee Light Club fame. He's done a couple other things. The manga adaptation of No Longer Human. So, probably popular with people who are more interested in psychological sort of stories. And this series, whilst it has a psychological element to it, it is a lot more kind of down to earth, kind of drama, school life ish sort of series. It's 3 volumes completely. It was released in Jump Square in Japan between 2008 and 2010 and has been completely released by Viz. So it's the story of this young guy who a lot of his classmates call him Picasso, but so he's an artist. He doesn't really like a lot of the people in his class. He doesn't really want to make friends. He thinks that he'd much rather spend his time learning how to draw and become proficient at his art. But there's this one girl who is always constantly trying to make him open up. She walks home with him, that sort of thing. Trying to make him realize that he should have friends and, being so isolated from everyone isn't a good thing. Unfortunately, after school one day, they're at the riverbank where they usually kind of end up. He likes to draw there, and she just hangs out waiting for him to, go home or whatever else. But there's a horrible accident. I think there's a helicopter crash, and she dies as a result, and he very, very narrowly escapes death. He's very injured, but manages to escape with his life. But by the time he comes back to school and kind of reintegrates himself after that horrific, awful thing that happened, he's found that he can actually see like a smaller version of this girl who really was his only friend, and she's come back as an angel. She said, "I need to help you so I can get my wings," sort of thing. And he's realizing that he can actually, when he sees people, sometimes the urge to draw a scene comes on and he just goes into the picture and helps his classmates with their problems, their personal problems that other people may not know is going on in their life. So he's actually helping his fellow classmates without realizing it. And his classmates are kind of learning about him as a person more so than just that weird kid who doesn't want any friends and is just like completely focused on his artwork. It's a very unique sort of story. I don't necessarily think there's that many typical shonen fare series that has a similar story arc to Genkaku Picasso, and it's quite short, so it's not a huge commitment. So you can really read it in a day or so without having to feel like you're committing all your time to it. But it is definitely worth the kind of character growth and the payoff of the story that you do get. As you can see, this is volume 1 here, and on the back like so. Volume 2. These are also very thick volumes. I'm not sure if you can actually tell in this or with this camera, but they're quite thick, and the third one is the thickest of them all. And this is the third and final volume. But really, much more so than a typical volume of manga, these 3 are just absolutely filled with content. The chapters are a little bit longer as well. That's most likely the reason why. But it's an interesting story, not exactly unique, but at the same time it's doing things in a very interesting way, and it does kind of address a lot of different sorts of issues from a whole range of different people. It's not just the same thing you would necessarily see from a lot of other shonen series. Recommendations wise, it's a hard one. If you're looking for sort of a similar going into another dimension or into another world sort of aspect, there is the anime OVA Le Portrait de Petite Cosette. I'm not sure whether or not you can even get that on DVD anymore. I'm sure you can. And I believe there's a manga of that as well, so you know that too, if you're so inclined. And really, the only other recommendation I can really think of is just with character type. A very similar main character would be the main character from The World God Only Knows, both the anime and the manga. Unfortunately, of course, we don't have the manga in English, but that same kind of standoffish, doesn't want any friends sort of person, but once you get into the story, you actually find that they're not all bad. They do actually have they do want to help people, but are kind of afraid of getting close to anyone. So it's an interesting dynamic, and that's kind of a similar character type if you're into that sort of thing. But yeah, this one is quite short. It's a very interesting thing. Series gives you a lot of things to think about, and overall recommended, especially if you want something a little different from Usamaru Furuya or just a typical like shonen series, because it's not as dark as his other work, but it's not nearly as happy-go-lucky as a lot of shonen series are. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye till then.